Welcome to M&A Diaries. On this episode, I talk to Scott Heath, CEO of DJH. A few years ago, DJH took on private equity investment via Tenzin. Scott candidly shares with me the reasons why that they thought this was the best course of action for their practice at the time. We more widely speak about the accountancy practice market as a whole and what the benefits and value contributors are for a private equity-backed firm. We talk about people, culture, the services provided to clients, and enhancements in technology. It makes for a very, very interesting conversation. Good morning, Scott. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you, James?
Yeah, very well, very well. As we were just discussing off camera there, but busy times in the mergers and acquisitions division at the moment for us, and just in the market as a whole. And obviously, all eyes on the 30th of October and what deals could be done before budget announcements as such. So I imagine it's much the same your side as well.
I think everybody's squirreling away to try and get as much stuff done before the end of the month, isn't it? So yeah, there'll be a fair few announcements, I'm sure, before the end of the month on transactions that have gone on.
Absolutely. Well, look, I'm really pleased you'll be able to join us today. I wanted to get you on to discuss really more around today the value contributors from private equity and the values that you perceive that private equity has brought to the market and accountancy practices, of course, individually. It'd be great if you wouldn't mind just opening with a little bit of background on yourself and DJH as a whole, and then we can move into other bits from there.
Yeah, so I'm Scott Heath from DJH, the CEO of DJH. I've been with the business since 2003, so I've been here a long time. I joined the business as a semi-senior, so I wasn't even qualified when I joined the business. So I've been through all the ranks, seen it change a lot over that time. When I joined the business back in 2003, it was 25 people turning over 1 million in gross recurring revenue, and we're sort of well over 40 million as we stand here today, and over 500 people. So it's changed a lot in my time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you setting the scene, and I think it's good just to have that bit of context as we head into the topics that we're going to cover today. And I guess just to set the scene a little bit further, obviously, that we know within the market right now, there's various drivers that have been driving the activity that we're seeing, and private equity and the new money coming to the market has played a factor in that. You've obviously got just general succession planning issues at the moment, where you might have fantastic accountants within your accountancy practice firm, but they're not necessarily ambitious enough or wish to have the responsibility of running a practice itself. Or conversely, you've got those who are ambitious enough to step up and do want to take the mantle as running the business, but they're struggling to get their hands on capital for whatever reason that may well be. Then you've got the general attraction and retention of talent, which everyone is a hot topic for the last couple of years anyway, as well as technology, and more so, which you'll probably do when you're speaking to potential acquisition targets. I find practitioners now where they're having to wear all the different hats. So it might be marketing, it might be HR, obviously compliance type work and admin there is increasing ever more. So I think a lot of people are wanting to alleviate or get rid of some of that heavy lifting of running a practice and join a bit of infrastructure. So with that in the background, I think private equity is playing its role in that as well at the moment.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think the profession has changed a lot. I think if I look back in sort of 15 years ago, 20 years ago, kind of the practices were different. If you were a partner in a practice, you used to wear multi-hats. So one minute, one partner would be responsible for IT, one partner would be responsible for compliance, maybe somebody for recruitment. And the world's changed a lot, and the demands of running a professional practice have changed a lot in that time. You have to have a certain amount of scale and infrastructure to be able to cope with all the demands of running a practice. So picking up on your point with recruitment and talent, the talent war is ever challenging to get the best people. You've got to have a real focus on your culture. You've got to have a real focus on your people plan. And you've got to kind of have a real recruitment machine that's kind of onboarding and interviewing and doing road shows and college days and open days. Now, that's really, really hard to do if you're one office, a team of 35, 40 people, as well as doing your day job, looking after your clients. So there's certainly, is our business easier to run today than it was 5 years ago? I wouldn't say it's any easier, but I wouldn't say it's more difficult either. We just have a different set of challenges. So kind of recruitment, we have that kind of machine that's helping to attract the best talent. But not only once you've attracted them, take them on a journey through kind of academies and training programs and learning and development schemes and upskilling and mentoring, which is completely different from when I joined the practice back in sort of 2003. Rightly so, for all the right reasons. I think the talent or the team members of today want a different approach to how they're kind of onboarded, how they're trained, how they're developed, how they're pushed, how they're grown. The world's moving at a faster pace. So the scale of kind of infrastructure helps you to keep pace with that, James. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the point there as well is any other business in other sectors, they probably would have specialists or experts in those positions, whether it's marketing or HR, whereas accountants for so long have gone, no, we can do everything. We can cover all those bases ourselves. But as you've just picked up on there, that's changing. You actually have to have those experts in place to be able to lead the charge.
It's across all sectors of the a professional. Running a professional services firm, you've got two sides. You've kind of got running the practice. So you've got running the business itself as a business structure. But then you've also got kind of working with your clients, and you're an integral part to their business as well. And I think that's with the traditional partnership model where the struggle is, because your demand on time is you've got clients that are really important to you. They're the key to the business. They're a key stakeholder. You want to work with them and you want to grow with them, but you've also got to run your own business as well. And in a traditional partnership, that's hard. Where do you spend your attention? Where once you get to a certain critical mass, you can have internal marketing, you can have internal finance, you can have internal recruitment, you can have internal learning and development and performance coaching. You can have people and champion people and kind of development programs. It's just tough when you're a single partnership practice trying to do all those things, and it's not going to get any easier either.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you on that point. So just kind of again, you alluded to the fact of that massive growth you've had since you joined the firm. At some point, you guys took on private equity investment yourself to help supercharge that growth. I'd love to hear from you what your reasons were and your fellow directors and shareholders' reasons were for taking on that private equity, and what you think are the key contributors and value contributors for your journey going forward.
Yeah, I think when we had if I go back to kind of coming out of COVID and kind of 2019, 2020, we didn't have a plan. We didn't have a plan to go and get private equity investment. It was never kind of on the agenda. What we were doing is back in 2019, there was a bit of a change of the structure in our business. I was one of the majority shareholders, along with some other shareholders that were towards the end of their career or wanting to kind of exit and retire. My partner base was 20 years older than me. So I was faced with all the options of, what do I do with the business? Do I bring in new partners? Do I merge with another practice? Do I get consolidated by a practice? Do I sell the practice? And I went through all the different options at that time. And I'm a strong believer, if you're not growing the business and the business is not going forward and you're not investing and you're not kind of growing your people and growing your talent and growing your customer bank, that you're slowly going backwards. Mm-hmm. So back in 2019-20, we started to kind of build a more of a corporate model. So the first few hires that we made were non-accountants. So we kind of bring in a head of operations. We brought in a head of marketing. We brought in a head of learning and development, a head of recruitment. So we started to kind of put the building blocks in place of making it more of a corporate model rather than a partnership, allowing our team members and allowing our kind of partners or client service directors, as we call them, to do the bit they really enjoy and just focusing on looking after the team and looking after the clients. Most people train to be an accountant and to look after clients and to grow the team. That's the bit they really enjoy. So we kind of started to build this infrastructure or platform to enable to free the fee earners up and the chargeable members and the partners to do what they love doing. And it was a slow, every so often we would go, okay, recruitment is being done by the team. Let's set up a recruitment department. Learning and development is being done by the team. Let's set up so slowly making sure we were giving them their time back. We then did a couple of acquisitions. So kind of we went on and we brought an office in Chester, we brought an office in Manchester, and we brought an office in Walsall. And that was to kind of give us some scale, because part of the challenge we had is we were layering in overhead and infrastructure cost.
Yep.
So you had to grow the revenue at the same time. And although we were growing organically and we were winning new customers and we were winning new logos and we were signing customers up, kind of the costs were being layered in at the same time. And to enable us to make some of the decisions we wanted to make, we needed more scale. So we went on a bit of a buying hunt sort of post-COVID and brought some extra firms to the business. And we took it up to 16 million revenue from 4 million revenue. So we quadrupled in 2 years, quadrupled the headcount, did it all off cash flow. So we didn't have a debt fund or we didn't have any debt in the business. We just kept constantly reinvesting and putting every pound back into the business. And once we started that journey, we were growing and the wheels were going on it. And we were attracting people to the business because we were a growing business. We were exciting. We were doing new things. We were kind of pushing the boundaries. Once you start that growth wheel going, it's hard to stop. You can't just say, okay, well, we've got to 16 million now. Let's stop and kind of take a breath. So the wheel was turning, and then private equity found us. But I'm a strong believer you need a bit of luck and be fortunate along the way. Along the time, the industry's changed. So timing wise, private equity started to kind of explore our marketplace more. And we were approached by sort of multiple parties looking at the business. And it took 12 months. We kind of would go and talk to the private equity houses and would learn around kind of what their views were on the marketplace and what good looked like and the things that you should be doing in your business to professionalize it if you want to scale. And we'd go away and talk to different PE houses and then kind of come back and implement it in the business. So it was a good learning curve. And then sort of 12 months into that process, we had the opportunity then to partner with Tenzi, who is our partner at the moment. And it felt like the right time for us to continue to that journey. Twofold. One was a de-risking exercise. So it enabled the existing management team to de-risk and take some sort of reward today for the hard work that had happened over the years, but also then gave us that capital and the financial support to kind of move to the next level. We'd grown really quick over that sort of 2-year period. And if we're going to continue with that journey, it was important to partner with somebody who was going to support us along the way. And hence we went with Tenzin, and it's been fantastic, the relationship with them so far.
No, fantastic. And just going back to those lessons that you said you learned when you was going around speaking to some of the private equity and taking it back to your own business, were there any that stand out to your mind now, that key learnings from private equity?
What you've always got to do is you've got to run your business how you would run it with or without kind of with a partner. You've got to run it what you believe is the right business plan. We talk in our business a lot around our culture. There is three main stakeholders in this business. The number one is the team. Without the team, we do not have a business. So every day the team turn up, they do a fantastic job. They look after our clients, and they are a major part of our success story. Number two, you need great clients. You've got to have clients, because without clients, you've got no work. And we've got some amazing clients that we've grown with. And that is the exciting part of our growth journey. There's a lot of clients in our portfolio that would have outgrown us if we would have stayed as a single office without the infrastructure, because our growth has helped us add additional service lines, bring in more talent, kind of grow the services that we can offer to our clients. So we've been able to grow with them, which is rewarding as well. And then the third kind of stakeholder in the business is the shareholders. But I'm a strong believer, if you do what's right for the team and you do what's right for the the clients, the rest looks after itself. So with all the conversations with private equity, I was always focused around what did it mean to the team? What did it mean to our clients? And is it for the benefit of the business longer term? And those are the choices we made. There's lots of different private equity platforms. There's lots of different partners or funding options available in the market. We chose our partner based on the culture and based on the way that we interacted with them, how they interacted with us, and how we felt the relationship was going to be, because they're a key partner to us. There was a few partners that we kind of discounted and put on the back shelf because they weren't for us. Yeah, but there's lots of different models out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You mentioned there the two main reasons, obviously de-risking, which it speaks for itself, and then the capital to help drive forward. But just having a private equity backer, and as you said, having that relationship with Tenzin, what other value does having that partnership bring to the business? And, you know, for you guys making that decision as the course of action to take was to join with Tenzin, forces with Tenzin, and move forward. So, you know, as it helped you grow out that, I know you call it the toolkit, but centralized services in those specialist areas, what other areas for the business is it going to help away from just purely growth?
Yeah, I think what it does is we'd grown the practice to a certain size, and we'd done really well with how far we'd taken it. The decisions that we needed to continue to make needed capital and needed investment. And along any business journey, as the numbers become bigger, the headcount becomes bigger, the working capital requirement becomes bigger. And if you want to continue to grow the business, that's only going to be double again. It was kind of, if we were going to continue with the growth, we needed to either put debt in the business, which would have been option one, or find a partner that we could partner with. And we partnered with Tenzin and didn't put any debt into the business overnight. We just took them on board as a partner, which then enabled us to kind of keep our cash flow free to keep investing in the business. We didn't bring a bank on overnight. What it's enabled us you to do is you become challenged and they push you, which is good. They open up a network of people that you would not have been connected to before. So they open the doors on some specialists, on specialist growth, specialist people on people, talent, sales, marketing, how to build and scale that next level of business. So they've opened the doors to a lot of good contacts, put more governance in a business. So naturally, we were an owner-managed business before Tenzin. The decisions were made by a couple of us on a daily basis. And yes, we kind of had structure, but probably not the same governance and structure as we have today.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's good. It's good if it's channeled well. And then it enables us to continue to invest. I think I wouldn't want to be sitting here now as a one-office firm, turning over sort of 4 to 5 million of GRF with all the challenges that are on the horizon for all professional practices. And that's not to say that they aren't really good firms, by the way. And independence can still work for lots of firms. It just brings you a different set of challenges, that you're competing in a world where you're competing for talent, you're competing for technology, you're competing on AI, you're competing on all your infrastructure. And it's hard when you've also got to run the business and look after your clients. So I'd much rather be in a scaled business now.
Than absolutely.
Where we were back then.
And and obviously we'll move on to culture in a little bit, but, you know, kind of aligned to that, a lot of people that I speak to when they are looking at their options, and because they've got the hardships and the challenges that you've discussed there, one of the, I guess, the major reservations they have about joining a firm that has got private equity backing is the DNA going to be ripped up? Is the day-to-day going to be very different? And there's that little bit of reservation on that because of the stigma that is attached to private equity. As we know, the approach in recent times has been a lot different. It's a little bit more hands-off and more of a growth partner rather than going in and going, right, bottom line. Of course, we know it's important, but it's not as exaggerated as it was before. So from your day-to-day life and general running of the business and how you've seen the business since Tenzin have come on, has much changed for the team members, has much changed for your staff and for the service that you're delivering to your clients?
I'd like to think nothing's changed for the team members. Would be my view, because there's a handful of us that have interaction with the private equity partner, because that's the way the governance is and the structure is, because we want to keep our guys doing what they do every day that they enjoy doing. So I don't think it's had a massive impact at that level. It's given us more governance, but where hopefully private equity is going to make an impact on this market this time, because they have been in the market in the past and it didn't kind of work out many years ago, but the market dynamics are different, is you've got to make long-term decisions. So it's not about short-term profit, short-term EBITDA, short-term kind of decision-making. In a professional services firm, you've got to set your stall out and you've got to run a business with a long-term view. To grow a business, if, for example, every business needs to organically grow, it's not just about doing mergers and acquisitions and kind of buying more businesses. So to organically grow, you've got to either bring in new service lines, grow your existing service lines, grow your talent, grow your people. We are an industry where kind of the people side of it is really, really important. So you often have to invest in bringing talent through. And short term, when you're training people and when you're developing people and when you're mentoring them, that doesn't add money to the bottom line day one, but longer term, it adds credible value. Yep. So kind of all our decision making has not been changed to short term decision making. It's kind of building the platforms, putting more infrastructure in training, more infrastructure in learning development, more infrastructure in technology, and making those decisions that are going to help us as a business get from when Tenzin invested in us at 16 million revenue to sort of where we are on our journey, kind of with solid foundations.
Yeah.
So it's the key to kind of finding your partner is a partner that's willing to make long-term decisions and invest in the business.
Yeah.
But with underinvestment, that's what will damage professional services businesses if they're not invested in well enough.
Yeah, and I think that point there is perfectly made, because as we said, there's different models out there. There are different partners, and some will have different approaches to this. Some will be looking for that quick flip and having those short-term type decisions and decision-making. But no, I think it's important for people to hear, especially what's going on right now. There's going to be many more people over the next few months and into next year seeing the move towards, consolidation that's going in the market and the various platforms. I think we're up to 26 platforms now in the UK, which is unbelievable. And I know there's another one to be announced shortly as well. But I think some people are just there's a little bit of hesitancy, especially from I would say the smaller firms, maybe around the 1 million mark, the 1 to 2 million mark. They're just that hesitancy about what it would mean for them on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, to hear it from yourself that the team and the clients, it shouldn't impact them at all. It's more of that shareholder level. So
I think there's a place in the marketplace for all parties, isn't there? There will still be very successful independent practices, and they will thrive still if they run well. There will be successful private equity platform businesses that will thrive if they run well. And there'll be large multinationals that are partnership-led models. The market's changing, but there is space for everybody still. My advice would be to anybody kind of thinking around their options would be to take the time. The market is here and the market's going to take time to change. It's not going anywhere overnight. And if you are choosing a partner, just make sure you spend lots of time with them, getting to know them, understanding their culture, and kind of make your decisions based on how it feels and the culture feels and how you can see it operating after you've done the deal, rather than what just does the deal look like, because it's not just about the shareholders, it's about the team and the clients that are kind of left post any transaction.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're exactly right on the whole market. There are many independents that will do very, very well. And we've had this discussion. As long as you know your lane and you stay in your lane and what you stand for, then you'll be successful. You're an independent, a private equity-backed platform, or even a smaller sole practitioner in the local village somewhere. If you stay in your lane, you do it well, you'll thrive and you'll do well in this market.
If you do the right things and you focus on your people and you focus on your clients and you do invest long term, there's opportunities for everybody. And the market is so big. That's what's exciting about it. The UK market alone is significant, and there's significant kind of transactions that are going to happen. at some point over the next few years. So it's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Oh, very interesting. I mean, there's been Haynes Watts, for example, is one of those that has been eaten up over the last 12 months or so. And I think there's only a small few offices left of theirs. And that's, a big household name that's been around for many, many years.
It's an interesting one. Like you say, if you go back 2 years ago, it was in the top 20.
Yep.
Will it exist in maybe 12 months' time? Who knows? It's certainly different to the firm it was 2 years ago. And I think there'll probably be more of those to follow. So it'll be interesting to see.
Absolutely. I'll put a linked up post up today about the 50 plus 50 this year. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting list to see where things have moved. But
I was filling ours in yesterday. We were going through it, and we 3 years ago, we didn't even exist in the top 100.
Yeah.
Then we made the top 50. And I keep saying to myself, we'll be in the top 40 this year, but I don't know because it's going to change so much. It's going to be exciting when it comes out. Where does everybody land? It doesn't. It kind of just gives you an indication of what's going on in the marketplace, and there's going to be some new entrants to the top 10, some new entrants to the top 20. So it's completely different, and it'll change again next year and the year after and the year after. So yeah.
Yeah, well, definitely this year for me will be the most radical of changes, I think, that we'll see up and down. And it will be interesting for me to see what that entrant level is revenue-wise, because with all the consolidation, is it going to go up or will it come down? Because the consolidators would have zoomed up most of the top 100. So we'll see. We'll see.
It's an interesting one because it's the top 100 on those that enter it as well. So I think there's a few firms that don't make the list that decide not to enter it. So there could be some newcomers that have been in the top 100 have just not entered it in the past.
Yeah, waited in the
What
wings.
I would say is it's a really exciting time for our industry. Never if you fast forward or you sort of rewind, should I say, and would you have thought that there's so much activity in one sector? And it's enabling some of the big decisions to be made.
Yep.
For us as a business, the amount of investment we've made in our technology and our systems since having private equity backing is completely different to if we would have carried on our own journey, because we wouldn't have had the capital to do it. And two, I don't think I would have probably had the conviction or the braveness to kind of make those investments.
Yeah.
When you've de-risked and you've taken some off the table and you reinvested, you can see the benefit of it. When it was shareholder funds to be distributed, would we have probably made some of the same decisions? Who knows?
Well,
it's kind of
that's another one of the value contributors, I guess, of having a private equity there. And the technology piece we'll come on to later down the line. But I just wanted to stay with the people and culture points. And you said about long-term decisions and long-term developments there. What are the positives, but also the challenges that you've come under as a leadership team, where you have grown so quickly, and ensuring that culture that you've kept there and those people are engaged, they're happy? Because I know culture is important to you. It's, from our first sit down a few months back, it was very, very clear that the people and the culture was up here in terms of priority for you. So yeah, how have you dealt with those challenges of growth?
Currently, we're doing okay at it. And I think we've got people who are growing with the business, which is really exciting. So we've got talent that's coming through. We are bringing external talent in along the way. So it's helping us. Our growth story is helping us attract like-minded individuals and talent into our business. So we've got people growing. We invest heavily in training. We invest heavily in mentoring. So from a point of view of we're able to we're growing at the right pace and keeping hold of the culture. It's tricky. The harder you get, it is tricky. Over 500 of us now. We go back to 4 years ago, there were 60 of us. So it's
tremendous growth.
We just have to be a lot more structured in kind of how we deliver our messaging, how we spend time with the team. We have a summer event, which is called our Summer Summit. And we invite the whole business and we take the day out. And if you're purely just focused on the numbers, it's a huge investment. Talking as a typical accountant, well over 200,000 of chargeable time, kind of at loss for the day. All the cost of putting the day on and all the kind of expenses. But what it does is enable us all as a business to come together for one day, to share the plan, to share where we are on the roadmap, to share where we are on the journey, and really importantly, just have some fun together.
Yeah.
And the bigger the business that gets, the more logistically difficult it is to put on. But we've got to keep doing those things and those initiatives to make sure that kind of we keep doing what we've done along the way to create the culture and keep it glued together.
Yeah. And I guess make it worthwhile, make it valuable, and not some corporate box ticking exercise, which we all know we're just like, oh, we're turning up to this day. But it sounds like it's fully engaged. People would enjoy it, come along in it, and you see the value from it as a leadership team.
Yeah, I think as a business, what we have to do differently than what we probably would have done before when there was a team of 60, we could have gone and kind of worked with the team of 60 and spent lots of time with them. What we've done now is we've built a great leadership team of individuals that then go on and do that championing for us throughout the business. So we just had to take a different approach where we kind of work with different layers, and then they go off and kind of make sure that culture's there and filters through. And that's a mix of people that have always been with the business, but also people that we've joined with or merged with or acquired who've come on the journey. It's really, really important to us when we partner with a new firm that they are the same like-minded culture as us, because otherwise, kind of, if you put 5 different cultures together, there's nothing you can do to get them together. For us, the stakeholders of the business that we partner with are absolutely crucial. If they're the right mindset, then coming together is really easy.
Yeah,
really easy.
No, every time I talk about acquisitions, and whether it be clients or at panels, etc., and speaking to people like yourself, many people I think along the past have forgotten that soft element, that human element of that cultural alignment, which you can get all the figures and the black and white sorted and agreed, but if that cultural alignment or that human element is not there, the figures are not going to work. The black and white's not going to work.
And when you come together with another firm or you join or you partner, you're never going to get it right. It's never always going to be 100% right. There's going to be little mistakes or little niggles that happen and little things that fall through the cracks. But if you're all culturally on the same page, you work through those and you make it work and you learn from them. So yeah, it's a people-based business and it needs to stay that way.
Yeah. And sticking with the theme of people, you mentioned like the leadership team now that you've got that help spread that word and make sure that the culture and DNA of the business remains in place as it should. How, with your growth and now being private equity backed, how are you incentivizing those future leaders or leaders in place at the moment, which may have had equity previously that might not well be able to have equity now? How are you incentivizing them and keeping them engaged to go on the journey with you?
Yeah, it's a different model, isn't it? Than there's pros and cons. I think from accountancy practices have become valuable assets the last couple of years. So to buy into an accountancy practice and to buy in equity is probably more difficult than it was 10 years ago because of how the valuations have moved and the multiples have moved and the size and scale of the businesses have moved. Secondly, do people actually want to buy into a practice? House prices are higher than they've ever been. Interest rates are at a higher level. They're not high, but they're at a higher level. And do people want to feel they're tied to an accountancy practice? And if they have to raise equity personally to buy in, it's more tricky than it used to be. And also, people change jobs more and people move around more and people there's a big mindset from the days when I trained, and rightly so, is that there's a lot more you can do with your life outside of work than work. Mm-hmm. And I think we are changing as a generation's change, what's outside of work is becoming more and more important. And I think there'll be more of that to come over the next few years. So do people want to buy into accountancy practices like they used to? Probably not. And hence, whilst you're seeing partnerships where the next tier are coming through and the partners might have the view of, well, why don't they want it? Or why don't they do what I did? There is no right or wrong. You've got to make your own choice, haven't you? And kind of buying in and taking debt and paying for that over 5 to 6 years is the different models to have. Can you be in a role where you do not have to put personal guarantees on the line. You do not have to raise debt against your house or your home or borrow money from a bank. You can grow in your role and you can be pushed and you can be motivated and you can be challenged and you can be trained and you can remunerate yourself very well along that journey. Kind of, I think the market's moving to that kind of method more than because not only there's a transaction that we've got in the pipeline at the moment, and it'd be a great business if we can bring it to the party. The challenge being is that when we were talking earlier on about the need to invest in a business, invest in your people, invest in your technology, invest in your marketing machine. If you buy a practice and you use up all your capital as a management partnership doing a management buyout, and your capital then is deployed to pay out the exiting shareholders, have you got the capital to do both? Mm-hmm. Have you got the capital to invest in your business at the same time as buying out the partnership group? Yep. And it's weighing up both, isn't it? It's kind of.
Well, I mean, that goes back to the market and the drivers in it at the moment. You're exactly right. It used to be, I don't know, 2 or 3 people, they'd set up a practice together and they'll be there right through to retirement. And now you're looking at practices and there's different age profiles, everyone in different spaces and areas of their career. As you said, there might be the younger generation that are wanting to reinvest in technology and people to drive the business forward. And then you've got those that are approaching retirement thinking, well, hang on, I don't want to maximize my profits here so I can draw out the last of my dividends before I go. So there's that dynamic of clashing between the 2 profiles there, and private equity or selling out to an independent of some kind or whatever does help. But as you said, it is that quandary of, for an independent, for example, do we get left behind with technology and investment there and people to go out and acquire this particular firm and buy out those partners? Or even internally, as you said, the younger partners trying to work out the figures in their head. Someone like yourselves or another platform that kind of removes that barrier straight away, and that question could get answered pretty quickly.
It does, and timing, sometimes timing's everything in the world, isn't it? I think we've managed to get our business to a size now where you talked about it before, we call it a toolkit, a platform. We don't force our kind of group services on individual partners that we come with. It's there to help them and aid them along the way. So, and it might be that they've got a technology project or a need for recruitment or a need for learning and development, and they dip into that toolkit as and when they want it. The same as because we've been able to scale the business, we've been able to kind of build additional service lines. Mm-hmm. So whether it's specialist R&D or wills and probate or HR, those services are there for those clients as and when they need them. We won't, and we've not become like a sales machine where you try and sell everything to every client. It's about building a service line there, and then as and when the client's got the need, you can work with them. Again, that's the benefit of scale. You can cross-service your clients and stay really close to them and look after them. Yeah,
but it must also just change the work-life balance for a lot of practitioners as well, the partners, directors and the client managers as well, because they've got that toolkit there behind them that can take some of that pressure off. And just going back to pre-Tenzin days, do you think that where you started to build that infrastructure, that helped with your early days growth in terms of people buying into what you was trying to achieve pre-Tenzin?
I think I kind of mentioned it before that if you're running professional services businesses are very complicated businesses and you have to run them as a business, and there's multiple things you have to be working on at multiple times. So prior to Tenzin's investment, we were having to make all the long-term decisions, whether that was about how we trained people, how we attracted people, how we looked after people, service lines we offered to our client, quality levels, regulation levels. You've got to invest for the future. Once you're on that investing journey, it doesn't slow down, because you might start off with 1 person in recruitment and then it becomes 2 and then it becomes 3 because of the scale of the business. So once you start the wheel rolling, it kind of,
you create a monster.
You've got to keep it going. Yeah. And you've got to do that in 2 ways. I think organic. So a business needs to grow on its own 2 feet and kind of needs to be attracting new clients and growing without doing M&A. But what's attractive about this sector at the moment is you can complement it. So you can have a good business that's growing and then buy some great businesses along the way that come part of the family, and you all grow together. One thing for certain is if we fast forward 5 years, the accountancy top 100 that you were talking about will be completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different. So, and even the top 4 might be different, or the top 5 might be different. So there's changes here. It's not going away. It's kind of just explore all your options and embrace it, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And we touched upon technology, and you've spoken about long-term investment decisions as well. And a lot of people, when I'm speaking to them with the private equity, if they are thinking about joining the platform, becoming part of the platform, one of the main key drivers to them or worries is being left behind in terms of technology. So there is a train of thought that some go, well, private equity is going to be looking at profitability, especially if they're going on a quick flip of some kind. So why would they really innovate or invest in technology? Whereas from what you're saying, because of your partner intending and the long-term views you're taking, that reinvestment is paramount to the success of what you're looking to achieve.
Yeah, one of the things that attracted me to Tenzing is because they, as a private equity fund, predominantly, they've invested in tech-enabled businesses and tech businesses, if you look at their past portfolio. So we get lots of insights and bonuses of being part of that family. You've got to make, for a business to be attractive, because private equity is a cycle and eventually the fund will change for everybody in this circle. There's going to be a few that come to the market in the new year, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when they come to the market. So it's a big year for the sector. But naturally, private equity houses, they'll change and they'll move along. So you've got to make sure you're running the business that's very attractive and well run and well invested, to being able to get a partner who's happy to go on the next part of the journey with you. That's the approach we're taking. I've said, I've been in this business now, I've said I'll do another 10 years minimum. Really enjoying it. Whether it'll be in the same role, who knows? I look back at my career, and I joined the business in 2003 and got a team of 560 people now, and it might need somebody different in time who's better than me, who can kind of run a team of 1,000 people maybe. But I will definitely play a role in the business, and I want to be around and enjoy it. It just might be that it outgrows me, who knows? But at the moment, we're keeping pace with it and we're doing our best, and that's all we can do. From a technology point of view, you've got to make those long-term decisions. AI is here. It's going to be in our industry. It's going to help our industry. It's going to free up our time so that we can spend more time with clients. So again, come back to what are the 2 most important things in this business. Number 1 is the people, and number 2 is the client. And you could put them in 1 or 2 order, whichever. But if we've got more time, because AI frees up our time and technology frees up our time, then you can kind of work on the relationships with your clients.
Yeah.
And that's a huge value add. And if it gives us more time, if we get to I look at the industry, and people used to work more than their contracted hours in the professional services business. That's not the case anymore, or shouldn't be the case anymore. You should be able to work your core hours that you get paid for. And then it shouldn't be about doing loads of free time, which it was and has been in professional services, whether that's law or accountancy.
Yeah.
And hopefully technology just helps us keep unlocking that piece and kind of adding valuable insights to clients.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear your thoughts there, that, away from just a monetary point of view and capital with the likes of Tenzing or another private equity backup, invest in technology if you've got the right partner that sees that long-term vision. It's not only that, it's what other portfolio investments they've got. So you're able to gives you that edge because you've got that direct expertise from other technology companies that Tenzing have invested that to outside of DJH.
And that's one of the benefits of when you're in a private equity business, that often they bring you together with different portfolio companies, and there's always, if there's a problem on the agenda or on the board agenda, it's, let me introduce such and such. They've been there, they've experienced that, or let me put you in touch with somebody in my little black book, and it just helps you get there faster.
Yeah. Well, look, as we were talking there, you mentioned about cycles, and I'd love to just wrap up the conversation about what your thoughts are, just future gazing about, how private equity and what we're going to see, because we haven't actually really seen a flip just yet that has this model worked. Obviously, there's there's been a couple of platforms that have tried and failed in recent times. But I fully suspect in the new year, well, certainly in the new year, there will be a few that are just attempting that first cycle.
I think there's 3 or 4 that are going to come within the sort of back end of this year, first 6 months of next year. Yeah. It'd be unfair of me to kind of comment on them or mention them at this point.
No, of course.
They're all going through their processes, but we kind of, for the industry, it's going to be good if they go well and go really well. So there has been some fantastic work done by some of the early platforms, and they've made some great headways. There's certainly a lot of interest in the market, and there's going to be continued interest in the market. We're in a world where, is it a sector that's going to disappear? Well, there's always going to be a need for finance, regulation, accounts, tax, and support for clients. So it's a safe sector. It's a highly recurring sector. So if you look after your clients well, they stay with you and they grow with you. If businesses are well run, it generates cash for future investment. So, and you can look at ancillary sectors, and there's been a lot of activity in sort of wealth management space, in law space.
Yeah.
PE is in this space now, and it's here to stay. The next 12 to 18 months will be really interesting. More interesting will be the kind of next 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But what it'll enable is for us to offer more services to our clients, be more innovative, invest more in technology, and for our team, create a kind of faster paced opportunities for them to grow, opportunities for them to win. Because big businesses are getting bigger, whichever sector you look at, businesses are consolidating and becoming bigger as time goes by, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting. I mean, there's some people I speak to that think there's maybe 1 or 2 cycles. Others will say, well, no, I can certainly see 3, 4, maybe 5 cycles. And then my train of thought, and I speak with my counterpart in America, is some of the large American firms that are private equity backed will be looking over the UK and Europe, which they've always liked, but it's just been too fragmented, and go, well, that's a nice 80, 90, 100 million pound firm that's built. We'll take a look at that, and the US firms will start coming over to the shores.
But with it'll be an interesting one. What happens with the networks, as you mentioned earlier on in the chat? There's been a few networks that have kind of disbanded. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. If a business is growing and investing, it offers, if it's doing the right things, it's got to be better for the clients and it's got to be better for the team. So we're going to see change, aren't we? And kind of the way that how we used to recruit and how we used to train our team back in 2019 is fundamentally different to how we do it now. Mm-hmm. And that's because we've scaled, and the investment and the resource we can put behind it. And I kind of look, okay, where are we on our journey? And when we go again, the investment we're going to do in our people on the next chapter is absolutely crucial. So, for example, with AI, if AI comes into our industry as people are predicting, we're going to have to invest more money in training and development of our people than we ever have done before, so that they can kind of get the best use out of AI, but can then really kind of be those advisors for clients and hold that relationship piece with clients.
Yeah,
and it'll be different, won't it?
Yeah, 100. Like even the types of people that you'll be recruiting for will change. I imagine there'll be a need for, at some point, maybe coders to be in house, or like a technology based team that can just deal with the AI and advancements in technology and software that's being used as opposed to just the accountants.
Yeah, I look at my technology team now, and the size of my technology team now, and the people who are working on projects and automation and coding and Power BI and AI projects. Yeah. It's kind of, it won't be far off in the size and time that kind of we were as a practice back in 2017, 2016. So it's just investment, isn't it? For the right long term.
Crazy thought. But no, Scott, really appreciate your time today and your insights, and you sharing your stories of your own journey, as well as what your thoughts are around the positives and value contributors of being private equity backed, as well as just generally what your outlooks are on the market as well. It's especially someone in your position that's come from where you have to now building on that journey, and what a journey it's been as well.
I'm learning every day. I've been in London this weekend with our private equity partner, and it's new territory. It's enjoyable, it's exciting, and it's only possible because we've got a great team and great leaders across our business, and fantastic clients who are very loyal to us, which is great.
Yeah. Well, look, thank you again for your time, and I wish you and the rest of the DH team all the best in the future.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, James. Good to speak
Thank you,
to you.
Scott.